You're rolling, Will. How'd that feel?
Not good.
Not good. What felt not good about it?
Just rocky, so I didn't do it.
Yeah, why was the start rocky?
I think I was just trying to remember what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I recommend not putting your hands up until you're pretty ready to go. Right? If you're having trouble remembering the tempo or something, if you're thinking, trying to sing it to yourself, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Boom, right? But if the hands go up first and you're like, wait, what happens now? Hold on. It's in there somewhere, I got it. Like, this is really awkward. So get set in your mind first, then put your hands up and then be ready to conduct. I'm singing weird pitches, I know. Where's the bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I don't know where we are. The other thing is, what is the style of this movement? Yeah. So hold on. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Okay? Yes, it's a march. It's accented. It's a lot of ictus. It's articulate on the front of each beat. Your pattern was kind of sticky. Not even necessarily legato, but almost like you didn't want to leave the playing. So as opposed to snapping off the playing, as though you're touching a hot stove, right? You're hitting a plane that's covered in taffy and going rah, rah, as you come off of it. Just try beat one a couple of times, just like one over and over. Just go click, 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 click. Lower your plane just a little bit, just a hair. Go ahead. Click, 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 click. Go. Your elbow up as you do it. Click, 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 click. Keep your shoulder still. There you go. There you go. Right? It's more of an elbow motion than it is your kind of full arm resonating, and that's causing some of that stickiness. Isolate the hinge. Don't move from the shoulder. You move from the shoulder for certain things at certain times. In this situation, don't move from the shoulder. Isolate to the elbow hinge, and then use your wrist to get a little snap, but don't use too big a hinge for conducting. Okay? Go ahead. Begin. Find your tempo. Remember how it goes. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Okay? Bum, bum. Okay. So you set the plane here. You said this is where we're going. You breathed, and what happened to the plane? Yeah, the very first thing that happened is you went, huh. So your first plane was up here. You can't trick us like this. You're entering into a contract with us saying this is where the ictus is going to be. Then put the ictus there, or otherwise it's really difficult to follow. Okay? Good, good. Keep the ictus where the plane is. Bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-da, bum, ba-dum, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Much easier to follow, yeah? Much, much easier to follow. Good improvement. Be super careful. You'll see it on your video. Super cautious about this. There's little bits of extraneous motion. I'm not sure if you're subdividing, or if there's just sort of segmentation in your motion. Keep your motions fluid. Subdividing is for a very, very specific purpose, and that purpose is to slow groups down. Outside of that, we really should very rarely be subdividing. Okay? Subdividing it feels good because you're feeling the pulse better, but it gets really heavy and it slows group down and it makes it very difficult to get back. Subdividing can take different forms. It can take the form of like hitching, or one of my good friends when I was in my doctorate, we started our doctorates at the same time. She was a doctoral student who had learned to conduct and nobody called her out on this subdividing. And she battled trying to get rid of this, like, she called it backbeat. Boom, boom, da-dum. This resonance, this almost like hitchy resonance off of every downbeat. For a year and a half of a 3-year doctoral program, she was battling this, like, if it gets into your conducting, it is just death. It's pervasive, and it'll stay there for years, and it's a really hard habit to break. So right now, as a young conductor, try to get rid of the unintentional subdivision. When you're watching yourself, when you're watching on tape, look for it. All the time, look for it. Be the subdividing police, be the backbeat police. Don't let yourself do it, because it's a hard habit to break. Okay, second movement. Yeah. You got the subdivision bug. It's even more pronounced in this movement as it's slower and as it's trying to be a little more legato. The subdividing is coming out in your conducting even more. We gotta police that. That's gonna be your thing. Spend some time practicing patterns at even slow tempos, and really just don't add extra icti, right? Just click, 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 and glide in between those icti with no other snaps in your motion. It's going to take some practice to get rid of it. Again, once you get it, it can be a tough habit to break. The second thing is, a 3 pattern goes down, out, and up, down, out, and up. What do you do if you accidentally turn it around? You conduct the 3 pattern down, in, and up, and pretend like you totally meant to do it, and then you correct it on the next time. But you don't have to let everybody know that you made the gigantic mistake. You don't have to, like, down, in, shoot, no, it was out, and then it's, no, just down, in, whoops. Well, we'll just do that one as an inside-out pattern, which was very elegant, and, like, most groups won't even notice that you did it. Right? If you can, it doesn't have to be a huge error if you accidentally do that, as long as you catch it and don't turn it into a 4 pattern or something. If you catch it, then you can just do 1 pattern that way and then remind yourself and then flip it back around, and it just ended up being 1 inside-out pattern, and it doesn't have to be the end of the world, right? I do it more than I care to admit. But I don't think most of my groups know that I do it all that much. But it happens. It's not a huge deal. It happens. It's only a huge deal if it really throws you off and causes the group to explode. You know? Okay. Yeah. My real comment is the subdivision. Let's go on to the third movement. Will, you are an enigma, because everything about that movement screams subdivision for somebody who has a habit of subdividing. and your subdivision was a lot better. It wasn't non-existent, but it was a lot less pronounced on that movement than it was on the previous movement, which I gotta be honest, well, makes zero sense to me that it would go in that direction. But that was honestly better. Make sure that you're keeping your palm to the floor, okay? So that you're always, so that the travel looks the same to us. You tend to turn your hand a little bit, you're gonna hit the plane with like a karate chop. And especially if you're conducting more delicate music, that's not a great thing. Also, if you are, that's maybe a contributing factor to some of your subdivision. As you're coming in and you're doing this and kind of allowing yourself. If you keep your palm to the floor, you might find that forces you to glide a little bit more. It's not a natural position, right? As your hand comes out, it naturally wants to turn out, and as your hand comes in, you naturally want to sweep with your palm. Palm to the floor is not a natural position, so it's a little less comfortable for you, but it is much clearer, and honestly, just putting your palm to the floor might help eliminate some of that subdivision. I say that because the most pronounced place in the third movement where we saw the subdivision was beat 4 into beat 1. You were gliding beat 2, beat 3, and then as you came in on beat 4 to beat 1, we saw hitching. Okay? Fourth movement. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Extraneous motion. You went click, and then on the way in, you kind of you did like a serpentine motion. Click, up, and breathe. All you need. Okay? The simpler, the better. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, that was much better, wasn't it? I think you're done. Give it up for Will. Sydney, hop up there fast. I don't even have to trade out SD cards.